Welcome to the deep dive. We usually dig into those long, dense reports, but today, we're switching gears completely. We're diving into the world of esports racing. Buckle up, because we're about to experience the raw intensity of a Gran Turismo 7 World Series 2025 Manufacturers' Cup race.
Buckle up is right.
Straight from the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
Our source for this deep dive is a YouTube video transcript from a channel called Team On Racing. Specifically, Exhibition 2, Round 1. Think of it as...
Love that channel.
Like having a pit pass, hearing every gear change and every strategic call.
Yeah, I love that analogy. That's really what we're aiming for today,
Right.
To go beyond just recounting the events, we're going to extract those key decisions, the strategies, the emotions, all those things that make these races so compelling. And, even if you've never held a racing wheel, this is your chance to understand what drives these esports racers.
Exactly. So let's set the stage. Picture the starting grid. Lights go out. Our driver starts in 7th place.
Okay.
And right off the bat, it's a heated battle with a Corvette.
Intense.
The driver even calls out the Corvette for some questionable driving, playing dirty. But surprisingly, the Corvette driver actually gives the position back. What's your take on that? Is that common in these virtual races?
It's interesting because right away we see this competitive spirit, but also a sense of fairness.
Right.
Even though the initial move was, let's say, aggressive.
Yeah.
The fact that the position was given back suggests a kind of self-regulation, like an unspoken code among these racers, especially in an exhibition event where reputation matters. It makes you think about the rules of engagement in this digital world.
Definitely. It doesn't stay clean for long, though. Just a bit later, we see a bump draft with a Ferrari 458.
Uh-oh.
And for those who don't know, bump drafting is when one car pushes another to gain speed.
Right.
But in this case, it causes the Ferrari to spin out. Now, our driver immediately reacts by saying, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." It seems like genuine empathy, even in this competitive moment.
It does. It really highlights that fine line between aggressive racing and unintentional contact.
Right.
Even with precise input, things can happen. The physics of the game, the close proximity of the cars, it can all lead to unpredictable outcomes. And that apology speaks volumes about the shared understanding among these racers. They've all been there, on the receiving end of a similar incident. It humanizes the digital space.
Yeah, definitely. Now, after that early drama, our driver starts talking about finding a flow.
Okay.
A rhythm. It's not just about pure speed. There's a real skill to consistency.
Absolutely.
The driver even mentioned struggling to get power down coming out of one particular corner.
I see.
Describing it as feeling like there's so many marbles. What a great way to describe lack of grip.
Yeah, that's a fantastic analogy. It really speaks to the level of detail in these simulations.
Yep.
The marbles likely refers to that feeling of the tires losing traction, maybe due to virtual debris or simply being off the ideal racing line. The fact that the driver is so attuned to this feeling just shows how realistic and how precise you have to be to drive at the limit.
Exactly. Later in the race, the battle with that Corvette reignites. The Corvette uses a draft to overtake. But then our driver takes it back.
Nice.
This back and forth really highlights how important drafting is.
Oh, it's crucial.
It's not just about having the fastest car.
No, not at all.
It's about strategy.
Drafting is a fundamental aerodynamic strategy. By positioning your car behind another, you drastically reduce air resistance, allowing for faster speeds on straights. And that creates opportunities for passing. But it's not just about using it offensively.
Right.
You also have to defend against it.
Exactly.
It's a constant game of chess, calculating risk, exploiting the slipstream, but also avoiding being overtaken yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then things take an unexpected turn. The driver suddenly realizes mid-race that they don't have third gear coming out of a corner.
Yeah.
And their reaction, immediate reaction is, oh, shit, okay, I'm quick enough to keep the Corvette behind me.
Wow.
Talk about thinking on your feet.
That is amazing. That moment really embodies adaptability under pressure. Things can go wrong even in virtual races.
Right.
And the driver's ability to instantly recognize the problem and come up with a solution.
Right.
That's key. It shows a deep understanding of the car and their own abilities. They don't panic. They find a way to make it work.
And what's really interesting is that throughout all this intense racing, the driver's also keeping an eye on the bigger picture. They mention the gap to the leaders.
Right.
They're observing the fight for second and third.
Keeping track.
They even analyze their own performance, saying things like, I'm slower in Sector 2, but faster in Sector 3.
Wow.
That's some serious real-time analysis at those speeds.
Absolutely. That kind of awareness separates the good from the great. They're not just focused on the car in front. They're looking at the entire field, analyzing their strengths and weaknesses in each sector.
Right.
That allows for strategic adjustments in driving style. It's like a chess grandmaster thinking several moves ahead.
Yeah. Later on, there's a pass on another competitor who our driver describes as a chill player.
Okay.
And the driver's thought process is really revealing. Felt bad at the time, but it's the right move.
Interesting.
And immediately after that pass, they gain significant ground. Sometimes, it seems, even in a virtual world, you need a bit of ruthlessness to get ahead.
That brings up the tension between sportsmanship and the desire to win.
Yeah.
There's a sense of camaraderie, sure, but it is a competition at the end of the day.
Right.
Our driver recognized an opportunity, maybe hesitated for a moment, but ultimately prioritized the win.
Yeah.
And the reward was immediate.
Exactly. As the race winds down, the focus shifts to tire management. Our driver talks about needing to get the tires together. And they're keeping a close eye on the gap fluctuations.
Makes sense.
It seems like tire management is a big deal, even in these shorter exhibition races.
Oh, absolutely. Tire management is crucial in pretty much any form of motorsport. As tires wear down, their grip decreases, affecting lap times. Our driver's focus on managing the tires shows an understanding of endurance racing principles, even in a shorter format. By preserving the tires, they can maintain consistency and potentially close the gap to the leaders.
Exactly. And then the final lap,
the tension builds.
There's a mention of a battle at the front.
Oh, wow.
But our driver ultimately crosses the finish line in fourth place.
Okay.
With a shout of, I'll take it, P4, baby.
Yeah.
Immediately contrasting this with their previous race, which sounded like a complete disaster. They even say this result made up for that and would make for much better YouTube content.
Right.
So we really see the emotional investment, the highs and lows of competition.
That contrast between the previous disappointment and this success, it really captures the emotional roller coaster of competitive gaming. That sense of relief, the satisfaction of achieving a good outcome, it's palpable. And for content creators like our driver, that narrative of redemption is incredibly valuable.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into this virtual race, what key insights should our listeners take away?
I think the main takeaway is the depth of skill, strategy, and resilience required to compete at this level. We saw split-second decisions, tactical use of techniques like drafting, adaptability in the face of unexpected problems, constant self-assessment, awareness of the overall race, and that crucial tire management. It's a great example of how the principles of high-level competition apply, whether it's physical or virtual.
It really changes your perspective on these virtual races.
Oh, yeah.
It's clearly more than just a game.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about how these skills translate to other areas of life. You know, the dedication to analysis, the ability to adapt under pressure. What parallels can you draw between this virtual race and the challenges you face in your own life? Maybe reflecting on that, on how you can apply these principles could lead to improvements.
It's something to think about.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Into the world of esports racing.